Welcome all members. At present, we are 225 members in this group. I am welcoming Varish Bhai on behalf of all of us. Today's subject is input tax credit and refund of on capital goods. Now, I am requesting Mr. Varish Bhai to discuss on this issue. Over to Varish Bhai.
Hello, good evening, everyone. On behalf of NSC and on my personal behalf, I am thankful to NSC because I am also part of the NSC. But NSC has started this series wherein the first phase of this lecture is input tax credit and the controversial issues. Yesterday, Mr. Bapat sir has also taken. Today, I am going to speak on the subject of refund of ITC on capital goods. And as discussed with the Nigamji and Akshatji, I will also take some of the part of the input tax credit and the judicial decisions relevant to the input tax credit. Friends, I am told to speak mix in Hindi and in English both. As far as GST is concerned, one of the basic and the fundamental features of the GST is seamless flow of input tax credit across the chain and across the country. Meaning thereby, starting from getting the ITC by manufacturer of the goods to its consume or to its consumption or to its consumer. Now, earlier in the VAT regime or in the service tax or in this excise, there were many issues relating to the input tax credit or the SENVAT credit. The same is the case we are having in the GST regime also, where there are so many disputes or the confusion about the input tax credit, its requirements, the applicability of the provisions, and whether we are entitled to get the credit on capital goods, if we are entitled to get credit on the capital goods, whether it will be applicable as far as section 16 is concerned, we have to face a block credit under section 17(5)(d), or whether we are entitled to get refund of the capital goods or not. On plain understanding, we all understand that we are not entitled to get the refund of the capital goods. Now, if we see the definition of the capital goods, which has been given in section 2, subsection 19 of the CGST Act, which talks that the capital goods means the value of who occasionally, which is capitalized in the books of accounts of the person claiming the input tax credit and which are used or intend to be used in the course or for the furtherance of the business. Now, when we talk about the capital goods, we all are understanding that once we purchase any capital goods, then the two elements are there in the particular invoice. One is the basic value and the second is the component which is of a GST. Now, where the basic value of the particular capital goods, we are capitalized in the books of accounts, and the tax element which has been charged in the invoice, we are claiming the input tax credit if it is used for the purpose of our business. If the total value of the invoice we have debited in the books of account and shown as a fixed assets and claimed the depreciation on the tax part also, then we are not entitled to get input tax credit on that particular capital goods. So according to me, the definition of capital goods under GST is based on accounting concept rather than any specific definition given in the Act. Goods included capital goods and inputs. Now, when we purchase the capital goods, we have to see and we have to fulfill the compliance which is mentioned in section 16 of the CGST Act. Now the capital goods which we are purchasing must be used for the purpose of manufacturing of the taxable goods. If the capital goods is purchased and used exclusively for making exempted goods or exclusively for non-business purpose, that is for personal purpose, then no ITC is available on that particular capital goods. Or if the capital goods which we have purchased, and if depreciation has been claimed on tax component of that particular capital goods, then also we are not entitled to get input tax credit on that particular purchase of the capital goods. Now, as far as section 16 of the CGST Act is concerned, though it has been discussed earlier, but for the sake of understanding the fundamentals of the input tax credit in a more particular or a broader sense, let us understand section 16 also, that to claim the input tax credit, we have to satisfy certain conditions. The first condition is that the taxpayer should be in possession of the tax invoice. The said goods or the services have been received by the taxpayer. The third condition is the returns have been filed. I am narrating in a very short manner just to save the time. The fourth one is the tax charge has been paid to the government treasury by the supplier. Now on this point, yesterday we had certain discussions, and Bapat sir has also explained about the other aspects of the code and the provisions of the act as far as the taxes paid by the supplier. Today also I will take and I will touch some of the aspect on the judicial decisions on this aspect, whether we are entitled to get the input tax credit in case of supplier has not paid the tax. The fifth is when the goods are received in installment, then ITC can be claimed only when the last lot is received by us. And the third aspect, as we have discussed earlier, that no ITC will be available or allowed if depreciation has been claimed on the tax component of a capital goods. Now, this is the basic fundamental of section 16 of the CGST Act to claim the input tax credit. Now, when we purchase the capital goods, in fact, today's topic is whether we are entitled to get refund of input tax credit or input tax paid on capital goods. Now we are entitled to get the refund as far as the tax paid on capital goods is purchase is concerned only in the case when we export the goods outside the country by paying IGST. The discussion as far as this topic is concerned, that will go us to take to section 16 of the IGST Act. Now, if we see section 16 of the IGST Act, which talks about the zero rated supply, means the supply of the goods or services or both to special economic unit developers or to the special economic zone, and the exports of the goods or services or the both. Now, in this case, section 16 of the IGST Act talks about the formula to get the refund as far as export or the zero rated supply of the goods is concerned. Now, section 16 of IGST Act entitles exporter to claim refund under either of the two options. The first options which is available is export without payment of IGST under bond or LUT and claim refund of unutilized input tax credit. And the second option available is the exports of the goods with payment of IGST and claim refund of such IGST paid. Now, the first option, that is the exports of the goods without payment of IGST under bond and LUT, is basically helpful and advisable in a case where those who are in the purely business of exporters, in the export, those who are purely exporters and do not have any domestic supplies, because they are not required to make any payment of tax at the time of the exports. So to save their liquidity, this option is available, and they claim the refund of inputs. That inputs is inputs and input services, and restrict this ITC as far as ITC on capital goods is concerned. Now, if the refund of GST paid on capital goods is not allowed, it would again add cost to the exporter as far as the person, those who are making the export with payment of IGST. So what I am trying to analyze as far as today's discussion is that the theme of the discussion is that when you are exporting the goods with payment of IGST and then you are claiming the refund of the payment of IGST, you are not required to make any application for the purpose of refund. In this scenario, you are entitled to get refund of ITC which you have paid for input services of goods, services, or of the capital goods also. Here we are required to note that Section 16 of the IGST Act 2017, which provides entitles the person making zero rated supplies to claim refund of unutilized input tax credit. Now, if we see that the registered person making zero rated supply shall be eligible to claim refund under either of the following two options. The number one option is that he may supply goods or services or both under bond or LUT subject to such conditions or the safeguard prescribed under that particular section without payment of integrated tax, and he can claim the refund of unutilized input tax credit. The second option is that he may supply the goods or services or both subject to such conditions, safeguards, and procedures laid down and prescribed on payment of integrated tax, and he can claim the refund of such tax paid on goods or services or both supplied. Now, if we see section 16 only, then that will not suffice our issue, because for the purpose of the refund, we will have to see section 54 of the CGST Act, which talks about the refund procedures, and then after we will see the rule 89, which also discuss about the procedure of the refund. Now, section 54 allows the person making zero rated supply to claim a refund of unutilized input tax credit, and then input tax credit is defined in section 263, which means the credit of input tax. Now the term input is also again defined in section 2 subsection 62 of the CGST Act. Now if we see section 2 subsection 62, which talks about input tax, the input tax in relation to a registered person means the central tax, the state tax, integrated tax, or union territory tax charged on any supply of the goods or services or both. Now, if we analyze these issues, I think the provision includes the integrated goods and services tax charge on import of the goods. I think the first condition is that the IGST charge on the particular import of the goods. The second is the tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and subsection 4 of section 9, that is the reverse charge mechanism, RCM paid. The third is the tax payable under the provisions of section 3 and 4 of section 5 of IGST. Again, under IGST, the RCM is there. Then the fourth provision, if I am not mistaken, is the tax payable under the provisions of subsection 3 and subsection 4 of section 7 of the UGST. These all talks about the RCM, but it does not include the tax paid under the composition levy. So as per the definition, if we analyze that, the input tax means central tax, state tax, integrated tax, or union territory tax charged on any supply of goods or both made to this. Now, this definition has not differentiated between the input tax credit on inputs, input services, and capital goods, which means it includes input tax credit on inputs, input services, and capital goods. Now that again take me to understand the provisions of the refund, which talks in section 54 of the CGST Act, which provides that for claiming the refund, we will have to refer section 54 of the CGST Act. Now, subsection 1 of the CGST Act, section 54 talks about any person claiming refund of any tax and interest, if any paid, on such tax on any other amount paid by him, may make an application before the expiry of 2 years from the relevant date in such form and as manner as may be prescribed. So section 54 subsection 1 deals with the prescribed and procedures of the refund procedure. Now the term refund has been defined in explanation to section 54, which reads as follows: that refund includes refund of tax paid on zero rated supply of goods or services or both, or on inputs or input services used in making such zero rated supply, or refund of tax on the supply of the goods regarded as deemed export, or refund of unutilized input tax credit as provided under subsection 3 of section 54. So if we see subsection 3 of section 54, which allows a registered person who is engaged in provisions of zero rated supply to claim refund of unutilized input tax credit. Now, as explained in my above discussion, that the term input tax credit does not differentiate between the input tax credit on inputs, input services, or the capital goods. Therefore, even this implies to the section 54 also that you are entitled to get the refund on input tax credit on capital goods. Now, if we see further, the refund procedure has been described in Rule 89 of the CGST rules. Now, CGST rules, Rule 89, Subrule 4 again provides the formula. Now, what is the formula as far as 89.4 is concerned? In case of zero rated supply of goods or services, or both, without payment of tax, under bond or under LUT, in accordance with the provisions of subsection 3 of section 16 of the IGST Act, refund of input tax credit shall be granted as per the formula given. Now the formula given is that we will have to total see the zero rated supply of the goods plus services, then we will have to see the net input tax credit, and it should be divided by adjusted total turnover. Now, refund means the maximum refund amount that you are entitled or admissible. Now, as far as net ITC is concerned, it means net ITC means input tax credit availed on inputs and input services during the relevant period other than the input tax credit availed for which the refund is claimed under Subrule 4A and 4B. Now, when we talk about the zero rated supply, it means that during the relevant period without payment of tax under bond or under LUT. Now, zero rated supply means the value of zero rated supply of services made without payment of tax under bond or LUT. Now, there is a difference between the zero rated supply of goods and zero rated supply of services. Now, we are not going to discuss about what is the exact difference, because the main theme about the formula is that the net input tax credit means input tax credit availed on inputs and input services thereby excluded the input tax credit availed on capital goods. Now, if we see that the person engaged in zero rated supply are not getting the refund of input tax credit on capital goods. This is, I am talking about the rule which talks about without payment of tax under LUT or bond. Now, here the question may arise in one's mind that the rule which prescribes the procedure for claiming the refund can restrict the refund by overriding the entitlement given to the person making zero rated supply under section 16 of the IGST Act as well as section 54 of the CGST Act. In other view, section 16 of the IGST Act is a substantive provision which provides unconditional absolute right to registered person for claiming refund of unutilized tax credit, which includes input tax credit, input services, input tax credit on goods, and input tax on capital goods as well. Now, even if the section 54 of the CGST Act entitles the person making zero rated supply to claim refund of input tax credit of capital goods. Now, if we see rule 89 of the CGST rule is in this scenario overriding the provisions of section 16 of the IGST Act and 54 of the CGST Act. Now, we have a very settled law that rules cannot override the statute, and if it overrides the same become ultra vires the statute and become invalid. We have the decisions on these aspects also. We will take the decisions later on. But as far as the provisions are concerned, once you are making the export with payment of IGST and claiming the refund of IGST, you are not required to make any application for the refund. It comes automatically once you file the return, upload the return. So in this scenario, you are entitled to get input tax credit on the capital goods also. Now, it's again remind me to the one of the government circular number 18 of 2017 dated 16th November 2017 that clarifies that ITC on capital goods is not refundable under LUT option. Now, it has restricted that ITC on capital good is not refundable under LUT option. It does not speak more that. So, the circular also says that once you are making the export, then you are not entitled export without payment of tax under LUT or bond, then you are not entitled to get input tax credit. Now, once it is only restricted for the restrictions of ITC on capital good without payment under LUT or bond, it automatically applies that you are entitled to get input tax credit of capital goods once you are exporting the goods with payment of IGST and you are claiming refund of the IGST. Now, we have also in our support the judgment of the Supreme Court as far as this analogy is concerned. I will come little later on as far as the judgment clause is concerned. Then I think the possibility of getting the refund as far as IGST paid export is concerned, we are entitled to get the refund or the ITC claim of the capital goods as far as exports made with payment of IGST is concerned. Now, this grant of capital goods would increase definitely and helpful to the exporters as far as their refund claim is concerned. So, on that basis, they will be entitled to get more refund. They will be able to compete in the international market. And this particular view is also supported by various decisions and the circular of the government as far as entitlement of ITC on capital goods is concerned. So, in my view, definitely this may go into the litigation, but as far as the prima facie view is concerned, we are entitled to get the input tax credit of capital goods as far as export made with payment of IGST is concerned. We are entitled to get the refund. Now, I was talking about the decision as far as the notification, the circular of the government is concerned. Now, the clarification of the circular is contrary to the what we are discussing. Now, the provision is that the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Commissioner versus Ratan Melting and Wire Industries 2008 12 STR 416, the Supreme Court has held that circular is, if it is a contrary to the legal provision, then it is non-urged in the law, and we are not entitled, we are not liable to consider this particular notification when the law and the sections are different than what the rules is telling. There are two other decisions as far as whether the rules are above the law or the law are above the rules. As far as two decisions of the apex court is concerned, which is General Officer Commanding in Chief versus Dr. Subhash Chandra Yadav, AIR 1988, Supreme Court 876, and Additional District Magistrate Delhi Administration versus Sri Ram 2000, Supreme Court 2143, also says that once there is a substantive provision, then definitely it prevails. So section 16 and section 54, section 16 of the IGST Act and section 54 of the CGST Act gives the power and rights the taxpayer to claim the ITC on capital goods if the exports are made with payment of IGST and the taxpayer is claiming the IGST as a refund. So according to me, definitely one can take the plea that they are entitled to get the refund as far as this issue is concerned. Now, to claiming the ITC on the capital goods other than the refund, there are different rules as far as the claiming of the ITC is concerned. Now, whether the capital goods is solely used for the purpose of manufacturing of taxable goods, or if it is for the exempted goods, or if it is for the personal use, or we can have the mix, that is the partly used as a business purpose, partly used for exempted purpose, or partly used for the personal purpose. Now we have to take the input tax credit on a proportionate basis as far as the ITC is required to be claimed on the capital goods is concerned. Now we can have the common credit formula also, that ITC for business and ITC for personal purpose and ITC for exempted purpose are concerned. Now, when we are having the capital goods, now if we see that there is a very thin line, if we see the Income Tax Act, what is capital expenditure and what is revenue expenditure, there is a very thin line that you cannot, it depends on the case to case. For somebody's case, the capital goods purchased by them, debited by them as assets, for the other person or other taxpayer or other SSC, it might have been a revenue expenditure. It is not a capital expenditure. In case of GST, the capital goods that includes the plant and machinery, building, tools, etc. Now, in some of the cases also, where my building, maybe I am using it for the purpose of doing my manufacturing activity, I may entitled to get input tax credit legally, but the provision says that no, you will have to refer section 17(5)(d) when it says that you are not entitled to get the input tax credit on the building. Then we have lot many decisions of AAR, that is Authority for Advanced Ruling, which says that majority of the advanced ruling authority decisions ruling, they says that no, you are not entitled to get any input tax credit for the materials which you have purchased to construct that building, and from that building, whether you are having the rented income, you are giving that particular building on rent, whether you have constructed any hotel, whether you have constructed any warehouses, whether you have constructed any banquet hall, whether you have constructed any restaurant, and ultimately from that, whatever purpose you are getting is liable for GST. But the Authority for Advanced Ruling, in fact, I have not come across any of the cases where AR has given the decision in favor of the taxpayer that yes, you are entitled to get input tax credit on this particular purchase of the goods which you have undertaken and use for the constructions of the building, which ultimately either you are giving on rent or you are doing the business from where you are generating revenue and you are paying GST on that particular sales or the receipt. Now, when you are having capital goods for exempted supply also, then what do you mean by the exempted supply and what do you mean by the, for example, give me the example that, let me give you the example that once I purchase any capital goods and that particular capital goods, if I have used to manufacture tax-free goods, then definitely I am not entitled to get any of the input tax credit of that capital goods. Let us say I have purchased a machinery. For example, I have a floor mill where, or I have a any other particular industries where I am purchasing a machinery, and my ultimate product for which machinery I am using, my ultimate product is a tax-free goods. Then I am not entitled to get input tax credit on that particular capital goods. If I am purchasing a machinery and ultimately I am manufacturing a taxable goods, then I am entitled to get input tax credit of the tax component of that particular machinery if my entire sales is of a manufacturing goods. So you will have to define as far as the capital goods and its usage is concerned, that whether this capital goods is used exclusively for the purpose of manufacturing of taxable goods, partly manufacturing, partly exempted, then definitely you will have to go with the common credit and proportionate ratio you are required to see as far as claiming the ITC is concerned. Now let us see the formula. Once you have a ITC, which will to be distributed as far as the useful life of the SSE is concerned or the machinery is concerned. Now, as far as the usage of the machinery or the capital goods is concerned, we have a 5 years particular formula that once you have purchased any machinery and if you are in the monthly taxpayer, then you will have to proportionately distribute this ITC on a monthly basis. Now, what is the formula is that the amount of ITC divided by 5 years multiplied by 12 months, that comes to 60 months. So amount of ITC divided by 60 months, whatever figure comes, that you will have to claim as a ITC. And if you are a dealer who is filing a quarterly returns, then you will have to divide this by 20. That is the 5 years multiplied by 4 quarter, that comes to 20. So ITC divided by 20, whatever figure comes, that you will have to take as an input tax credit in the month or a quarter as the case may be. Now, if the capital goods is used for taxable purpose and for exempt purpose also, or exempt goods also, and for personal use also. Now the formula is ITC minus 5% of the input tax credit for every quarter or a month or a part thereof from the date of invoice. Now assuming that you have purchased the machinery worth rupees 1 lakh, on which you have paid 18% GST, that is 18,000 rupees. So your total purchase is 1,18,000, that is your capital goods. Now you have also the product which is taxable as well as tax free. Now this machinery, assuming that you have purchased on the 1st October 2017 and on 15th of November 2018, that is after almost 13 months, now you have some taxable goods also and some exempted goods also. Earlier you have exempted capital taxable goods and now you have exempted goods also. Now you have used this machinery for from 1st October 2017 to 15th November 2018, that is for 5 quarter. Now you have ITC of 18,000 available on that particular machinery. Now you will have to reduce 5% of 18,000, that comes to 900 rupees. You have used for 5 quarter, that is from 1st October 2017 to 15th November 2018. So 900 multiplied by 5 quarter, that comes to 4,500. You will have to minus this 4,500 from 18,000 rupees. That comes to 13,500. Now the formula is, as I have stated earlier, you are in the monthly return dealer. then you will have to divide by 60. So 13,500 divided by 60, that comes to 225 rupees. Now, assuming that your total turnover is 160 lakhs, out of which exempted turnover is 40 lakhs. So the formula is 40 lakhs divided by 160 lakhs multiplied by 225. So rupees 56, an odd figure you will have to reduce as a ITC when you have exempted goods and a taxable goods. This is the formula as far as the exempted goods is concerned, or a partly for the personal purpose, partly for the taxable purpose is concerned, or you have a common proportion, that is the common credit also. Now, if we see the reductions of the ITC, as far as, again go back to section 16, where the conditions is that under section 16, you are purchasing the goods from a vendor who is also issuing you the invoices. In invoices, he has charged tax, that is GST. You have made the payment to that particular supplier, including of GST amount, but for a case, time being that he has not filed the return, or if he has filed GSTR1, but he has not filed 3B, or he has not paid the tax, then whether you are entitled to get the input tax credit or not. This was one of the controversy yesterday we had discussed. Now on this aspect, I had a discussion with the Nigam Bhai and Akshat Bhai also, and they also requested me to deal with this topic as far as the reductions of the ITC is concerned. Now, as far as GST is concerned, see, this controversy was earlier there under the VAT regime also, and under the service tax and excise regime also. Now, as far as GST is concerned, we have the same problem where the supplier is not making the payment, or if supplier is not filing the return, then in case also the purchaser or the recipient is not getting the input tax credit. That is the one of the condition in 16(2)(c). Now, as far as this 16(2)(c) is concerned, the writ petition challenging constitutional validity and virus of section 16(2)(c) of the CGST Act have been filed before the two high courts. The one is before the Calcutta High Court and another is before the Delhi High Court. Now, before the Calcutta High Court, in the case of LGW Industries Limited versus Union of India, writ petition number 23512 of 2019, and in the Delhi High Court, in the case of Bharati Telemedia versus Union of India, writ petition number 6293 of 2019. Now, in both these cases, the petitioners have been issued notices by the department. The case was that the department has issued the notices proposing the demand by disallowing the input tax credit, owing to that on the part of the supplier there is some fraud, or they have not paid the tax, or they are not the genuine supplier, they are bogus dealers, or entering into the transactions of the fake invoices. Now, in both these cases, the petitions are admitted by the High Court and notices are issued to the government to give the reply. So, this is the two latest positions of the judicial decisions whereby the notices are issued. I am not telling that the matter will be in favor of the taxpayer, but in this case, the High Court has issued the notices admitting the writ petition, whereby the virus has been challenged of section 16(2)(c) of the CGST Act is concerned. Now, this reminds me the some other old decisions under the either VAT regime or the excise or service tax regime, wherein the various courts has taken a decision whereby you are entitled to get input tax credit even in a case where the supplier has not paid the tax, or if he has not filed the returns also, provided you have entered into the genuine transactions of the sales and purchases. If the transactions are fraudulent, dubious, bogus, non-genuine, then definitely you cannot take the recourse of these decisions. But where the transactions are genuine, and for one or another reason the supplier has not paid the tax, then you are not entitled to get the input tax credit. The supplier has not paid, then you are entitled to get input tax credit. Now let me take the some of the decisions in this regard as far as the availability of input tax credit is concerned. Now, the first judgment yesterday, Mr. Bapat sir has also discussed about the Arise India Limited, whereby the court has held that the buyer will not be penalized. The matter has also went to the Supreme Court also. That reminds me of another judgment in the case of Altaf Shoes Private Limited versus Assistant Commissioner, Chennai, 50 VST 179. The next judgment is of Punjab and Haryana High Court in the case of Gherulal Balchan versus State of Haryana. These are the leading decisions which will help us as far as GST regime is concerned. The another judgment is Madras High Court, State of Madras versus Raman and Company, 33 STC, though old decision of 1974, but a very good decision. Then the next decision is Sri Vinayaga Agencies versus Assistant Commissioner and others, 60 VST of Madras High Court. Then the next decision is Britannia Industries Limited of Chennai, 2016 TIOL 489, again Madras. Then New Dheeraj Industries versus State of Telangana in tax appeal number 161 of 2011. The decision is of dated 20th August 2018. Then we have two old decisions of the excise, KK Industries 2013 TIOL and L&T versus CCE 2001 ELT. Now, if we see that what was the crux as far as the decisions of all these high courts are concerned, in majority of the cases, the high court has held that no liability can be fastened on the purchase dealer on account of non-payment of tax by the selling dealer in the treasury, unless it is fraudulent or collusion or connivance with the registered selling dealer. If it is in connivance with the registered selling dealer, then you cannot take a recourse of these decisions. You will have to develop some other genuineness. Otherwise, you are entitled to get input tax credit in the case where the particular supplier has not paid the tax. The court has further held that ITC should not be denied to the bona fide purchasing dealer merely on fault of selling dealer. It should not be made the responsibility of the purchasing dealer to ensure that the tax is debited or deposited by the selling dealer to the extent of the transaction if it is bona fide. Now, court has also further held that officers who are passing the orders without following the settled law and the provisions of the act are just creating paper demand, which is ultimately creating a mess for the revenue and increasing the burden of the court. So the officer, those who are passing the orders, they are required to see the decisions, the citations, the legal provisions which has been submitted by the litigants, and they will have to pass the detailed order before rejecting the input tax credit. Now we have two more decisions as far as Bombay High Court and one is again the Delhi High Court is concerned. The Bombay High Court is against the SSE because the Bombay High Court says that ITC is benefit given to the taxpayer. So if the supplier has not paid the tax, then they are not entitled to get the input tax credit. However, the Delhi High Court is telling that no, definitely the supplier, if he has not paid the tax and the transactions are genuine, then you are entitled to get the input tax credit. Then after the Allahabad High Court and Madras High Court, they have followed the decisions of the Delhi High Court and allowed the input tax credit. However, recently the Rajasthan High Court has taken into consideration the decisions of all these Bombay High Court, Delhi High Court, Allahabad High Court, Madras High Court. He has given the decisions against the SSE, stating that if the supplier has not paid the tax, then they are not entitled to get input tax credit. Now, after all these decisions, For our rescue, we have a very recent decision in the case of uh, Tarapur and Company, Jharkhand High Court. We have a decisions of the Jharkhand High Court in the case of Tarapur and Company versus CCT 2020 TMI 414 Jharkhand, which has allowed the ITC to a dealer procuring goods from a selling dealer. Now, in this case, the selling dealer has neither filed the returns nor he has deposited corresponding VAT. But High Court held that there is no mechanism for the purchase dealer to ascertain whether the supplier has discharged the statutory liability or not. So very recent decisions of the Jharkhand High Court has again also held that the purchaser is entitled to get the input tax credit even in the case where the supplier has not paid the tax or deposited into the government treasury. But in all these cases, we will have to prove that the transactions are genuine and bona fide. We have to see the earlier judgment of the Supreme Court in the case of Suresh Trading also, where the transactions are genuine. Although in the earlier decisions of the Bombay High Court in the Mahalakshmi Cotton and Ginning, there was a different scenario. In Gujarat also we have a Madhav Steel Corporation, but nowhere it is they said that you are not entitled to get the input tax credit. When the supplier is charging GST or any tax in the invoice, he is acting as a government agent. He is collecting the tax on behalf of the government. So it is the first duty of the supplier to pay the tax, and if the supplier has not paid the tax, though collected in the invoice, the purchaser has made the payment, then it is the duty of the supplier. The government has first to collect and recover this tax from the supplier, and then only if they found that no transactions are really not genuine, then they will give to have all the details, documents, evidence, statement to the purchaser before rejecting or disallowing input tax credit. They should give the chance of cross examination. They should give the evidences, the statement on which they are relying for disallowance of input tax credit. When the transactions are genuine, then definitely the purchaser is entitled to get input tax credit. This lead me to the conclusion part of the input tax credit. Now, there are two aspects. Once the transactions are genuine, even though we have a mechanism of this GSTR 2A matching provision, section 42 is also there. But assuming the scenario where we will have a litigation where the supplier has not paid the tax, we are not entitled to get the input tax credit solely on that ground, then there will be a matter of litigation. We can take the recourse of all these decisions which are in our favor, which gives that when there is no connivance with the supplier, when the transactions are genuine, then first it is the duty of the supplier, and the department or the government has to recover the tax from the supplier first. Because in this case also, assuming the situation where we are not making the payment within 180 days, then you are not entitled to get the input tax credit if payment is not made within 180 days. Now, what will be the corresponding effect in the case of the supplier? In a case where you are not making the payment within a period of 180 days, your ITC will be reduced. Whether in the case of supplier, he has to reduce his output liability or not. Again, this is a question. So the same analogy, we will have a good case that if we are not making the supplier is not making the payment, then also you are entitled to get the input tax credit. Once the tax invoice is issued, where tax is separately charged, and may have made the payment of the tax, we are entitled and eligible to take the input tax credit. And the second option is to claim the refund on the exports of the goods when we export the goods with payment of IGST. With this, I am concluding my deliberation as far as the topic allotted to me is concerned. I am sorry if I have not taken any of the aspects which has been given to me by the NSE coordinators. But if it is left out, and if any questions or queries there from the participants members, I am very happy to deal with it. And if any provisions or anything which has been left out, I will also try to cover during the interactions. Thank you so much, friends. Thank you, Nigam bhai, Nakshat bhai.
Thank you, Varis ji. Now on this issue, you have elaborately discussed on this issue. काफी so many issues are unattended and untouched by other persons. So we are able to understand. Now I am requesting Mr. Jagmohan Goel. Mr. Jagmohan.
Akshat ji, sorry, Nigam ji, before that, the one of the query which was raised earlier by someone to me,
Yes,
that
please.
as far as refund application is concerned, we will have to make the refund application within 2 years. Now, assuming that somebody's refund application which is due in the month in the last week of March 2020. Now we are all in the lockdown period, and if he fails to make the application within a stipulated time of 2 years, which has been due in the last week of March 2020, now what will be the position, whether he will be able to make an application or not? The exemptions or extensions given by the finance minister due to corona or the COVID-19, wherein the due dates which are been coming between the particular date, that is from 20th March to the 29th of June, they all can be extended up to the 30th June 2020. Now, whether the refund application is includes in that extended period or not, if we see the extension given where the word application is also mentioned, in my personal view, that application includes the refund application also. So if the refund application which is due in this particular period, they are also entitled to make an application on or before 30th June 2020, provided the system or the portal will allow them. If it is not allow them, then definitely we will have to make a representation through our NSE to the proper forum. Now, the another which question which is displaying is the citations which I have given is participants are requesting to give the citations again. I will try to type all the citations and I will send you, Nigam bhai, all the citations and the decision so that you can circulate through the WhatsApp or email, whatever facility available with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. In next meeting, we can share.
We can share it now also.
Okay. Okay. You have noted down if because it is not noted down my
No, I have not noted down, but as and when Varid bhai will send us the citation, we will share it into the our groups.
WhatsApp group. Okay. Okay, sir. Another member who is Mr. Shailesh. Mr. Shailesh.
हाँ जी सर,
Please continue.
शैलेश मैसूरिया फ्रॉम डीसा. हाय वारिस जी, नमस्कार, गुड इवनिंग.
Yes, sir.
हाँ जी सर, माय क्लाइंट मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ पल्सेस दिस commodities tax free in GST Act. He purchase some machineries and oils for polishing in mug. मूग दाल आती है ना, मूग दाल सर, पल्सेस मूग दाल.
मैं आपका क्वेश्चन जो मैं समझ रहा हूँ वो हिसाब से मैं आपको बीच में रोक रहा हूँ. मैं आपका शायद जो क्वेश्चन आपका समझा वो ये है कि आप कोई मशीनरी परचेस करते हो और अल्टीमेटली वो मशीनरी जो आप यूज करोगे वो टैक्स फ्री गुड्स बनाने के लिए यूज करोगे.
यस सर.
समझ लोगे कोई फ्लोर मिल है, इफ आई एम गिविंग अ एग्जांपल इन अ बेटर मैनर, कोई फ्लोर मिल वाला है, जो फ्लोर मिल है जो व्हीट को है उसको वो ग्राइंड करने के लिए उसको ग्राइंडिंग मशीन लेता है.
हाँ जी सर.
तो जो अल्टीमेट प्रोडक्ट है वो उसका टैक्स फ्री है या तो एग्जेम्प्टेड है जिसके ऊपर टैक्स नहीं है, तो उसकी आईटीसी कैपिटल गुड्स की उसको नहीं मिलेगी.
लेकिन सर वो पल्स के जो पॉलिशिंग करने के लिए वो ऑयल परचेज करता है, एडिबल ऑयल परचेज करता है और वो पॉलिशिंग करके बाद वो शाइनिंग आती है पल्सेस में. और वो जो ऑयल परचेज के वो टैक्सेबल है अंडर जीएसटी एक्ट 5% ऑफ टैक्सेस. तो सर उसमें क्या उसकी आईटीसी मिलेगी?
नहीं, आप अल्टीमेट जो प्रोडक्ट बेच रहे हैं वो जो आपकी सेल प्रोडक्ट है उसके ऊपर आप क्यों टैक्स भर रहे हो? आप
नहीं, वो तो टोटली टैक्स फ्री एग्जम्पशन है सर.
आप अल्टीमेटली जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करते हो या जो प्रोडक्ट आपकी सेल्स है, जब आप सेल्स के ऊपर कोई टैक्स नहीं भर रहे हो या तो आपकी जो प्रोडक्ट है वो एग्जेम्प्टेड है, तो आपको आपकी परचेज के ऊपर की आईटीसी नहीं मिलेगी.
समझ गया सर। और जो उसका बाय प्रोडक्ट जो कुछ होता है वो टैक्सेबल होता है, तो उसके
प्रोपोर्शनेट आपको प्रोपोर्शनेट वो लेना पड़ेगा जो मैंने आपको
प्रोपोर्शनेट प्रपोजनेट में मिलेगा। वो आपको आपने अपने स्पीच में बोला था, वो तो मैंने सुन लिया। हाँ जी, हाँ जी, थैंक यू सर, आभार, थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Now our senior member Rupendra Kansal is there. He wants to ask some question. Mr. Rupendra ji.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have few questions. Paresh bhai, as far as formula provided under section 89.4 and 89.5, there is a center is giving refund. There is no issue. Even states are giving refund. But one officer has put an objection where for suppose 1 quarter the purchases of are of rupees 2 crore rupees, and the sale is of I am talking of inverted duty structure as well as export structure, and the sale is of 1 crore rupees. So when I formulated out, means I put the figures in the formula, I have to take the ITC of the entire dose for the 3 months and not for the inputs used for that, making that sale of 1 crore, because the formula does not allow you to carry forward the ITC to the next period. So one of the officer has raised an objection that while calculating the amount, if you have made the sale of rupees 1 crore rupees, you can take the ITC only of the inputs used to make manufacture those goods. So what is your opinion about this?
Okay. Any other questions related or connected to this, or you have a separate question or separate issue?
I have another questions, but not related with this.
Okay. In my personal view, the formula which has been given, because see, once we are making any application for refund, the calculation or the formula automatically calculate the entire procedure of or entire amount of the refund. So if we go with the particular formula which has been prescribed in the rules, because the formula which has been given in the portal or calculating the refund amount is based on the rules which has been framed. So once the refund calculation formula is given as per the portal, that particular officer will definitely practically give the refund as per the formula which has been given in the particular format. Personally, if we go in a very strictly legal sense, then definitely you are entitled to get input tax credit of the particular purchase, because the purchase and the sales, as far as refund is concerned, if the items or the goods which are in stock, definitely the law has a power, I mean the government has a power, the act has given the power that the amount or the goods which are in the stock, that particular refund will not be given to you to the extent of that ITC which the stock is available in the goods. So officer will definitely not give you the refund, or they will reduce the refund, or they will go only with the formula which has been given in the particular software or the GST network or the rules. But you are definitely entitled to carry forward this ITC. Suppose they are not giving you the ITC, again it will be available in your electronic credit ledger, or if they are reducing or rejecting the ITC, and if you are not going in further appeal or challenging this, then definitely it will be recredited in your electronic credit ledger.
But then in the formula, it is specifically mentioned that the inputs utilized during that period. So my still section 54 specifically says goods inputs utilized in that making that sale, and formula is little bit helping us, and it is giving the refund on the total inputs of that purchase of that period. So what are you suggesting? What should be the right criteria? Whether it's ITC should be carried forward to the next period?
According to see, because in this forum, in open forum, my strict interpretation is that definitely it will be carried forward, because I understand that once we purchase the material, we are entitled to get the input tax credit. But as far as refund is concerned, you have a different scenario, a different provision, different formula. We are entitled to get the input tax credit. We have the amount available in our electronic credit ledger the moment we purchase the material. Whether we consume it or not, it is available in our electronic credit ledger. As far as refund is concerned, the refund is definitely, strictly speaking, then you will have to carry forward it for the subsequent month or the quarter.
Okay. My another question is relating to section 16, subsection 2, clause D, regarding 180 days, when the buyer of the goods does not make any payment within 180 days. Here, the query is whether the part payment given will be eligible for the ITC. Suppose I have purchased goods.
Yes, definitely. Part payment is available. Definitely.
They haven't used this word.
No, but part payment is definitely available.
Okay. And they have specifically said that output has to be increased. This is wrong. How can the output can be increased if the payment has not been made within 180 days? ITC can be reversed. How output can be increased?
The ITC which you have availed. See,
Yeah.
ultimately it goes with the same, because you will have to pay in cash. You will have to pay with the interest only. You cannot utilize it with according to the credit available with you. You will have to pay this with interest. And whenever then you will definitely make the payment to that supplier, you will get the ITC back again, and the interest component will be a loss to you.
No.
So you will have, I understand what you are telling, that you will have to, the law says that you will have to increase your output.
Yeah.
Ha, Nigam bhai.
Mr. Bapat wants to add something.
Yes.
Mr. Bapat, sir.
हाँ जी माधुरी जी.
Deepak ji.
ठीक कोई कुछ नहीं.
Mr. Deepak Bapat. Actually, he has texted me, but right now he is not available. Please continue, sir. Sorry for disturbance, sir. Please continue.
Ha, Kansal ji.
Yeah. They are asking, the act is telling that if the payment has not been made within 180 days, you have to raise your output liability.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, we can reverse the ITC. Output liability, how to increase the output liability? They have mentioned wrong wording in the act, as per my opinion.
Yeah, you will have
ITC
to, your ITC will be reduced. You will have to increase your output liability. See, ultimately, according to me, it will make it make only difference. Ultimately, if you increase the output liability or you reduce the ITC, you will have to make the payment of that particular amount with interest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And my another question regarding the capital goods in which the person is selling, manufacturing exempted goods also and taxable goods also. Isn't it advisable that to claim GST on this capital goods, which is 60 months, is very a long period? It's not advisable to claim depreciation on that part. It will be more beneficial as far as taxation point is concerned.
Definitely, it
What is
depends
your
on
opinion?
case to case. And according to me also, what you are telling in that particular scenario, if you are claiming depreciation of that tax component, it is more beneficial and advisable to you. Definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Amit Parmar, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Please continue.
Haris sir.
Sir.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि इन्वर्टर स्ट्रक्चर में हमारे को इनपुट टैक्स सर्विस क्यों नहीं मिलती रिफंड में?
सर आप वापस बोलेंगे, आपका वॉइस पूरा मेरे को क्लियर नहीं आया.
ओके सॉरी. इन्वर्टर स्ट्रक्चर में रिफंड में हमको इन्वर्टर इनपुट टैक्स सर्विस क्यों नहीं मिलती रिफंड में?
Okay, why we are not getting a refund of services in the case of inverted tax structure?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Nigam, actually I am not getting this voice properly. What is the exact query?
Okay, inverted rate structure में जो refund आता है, वो उसमें services का refund क्यों नहीं देते?
I'm not getting voice, sir.
Not an issue. Hello, can you hear me?
I'm not getting it, sir.
कोई बात नहीं, मैं आपको फोन पे बता दूंगा और अमित जी को बता दूंगा.
Not an issue, sir. Another is Mr. Tushar Singhal. Mr. Tushar.
Sir, can you check my video audio, because my voice, I'm not getting anybody's voice.
Sir, your voice is loud and clear.
I'm not in a position to hear anybody's voice.
It's okay. Tusharji, are you there?
Hello.
I think there is some problem with connection.
There is no.
Sir, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Tusharji, I think he left the room.
Mr. Amit Sheth.
Sir.
Please, Amit Sheth,
Yes, sir.
please continue.
सर आई ऑलरेडी मैंने वो क्वेरी जो थी मैंने ऑलरेडी भेज भी दी है. द थिंग इज दैट नॉट इन द मंथ ऑफ नवंबर a notification has been issued and which is mentioning the refund by the SEZ on the input. Hello.
Mr. Varis, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So can you hear to Mr.
Amit ji jo
Mr. Amit Sheth?
Hello.
Not an issue. Next is Mr. G.C. Chawla.
Yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Varis?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as far as I understand, you have said that refund on capital goods can be given on account of exports without LUT, right?
On account of?
Exports without LUT.
Yes.
Yeah. So the procedure for giving refund is that when we file our GSTR1, so it automatically acts as an application for the issue of refund. And whatever text is there, the text is given as a refund to the FAC.
Certainly, what is your question, sir?
Yeah, my question is, now the capital goods which we have purchased, we have claimed ITC on that. And how would we be getting the refund on the purchase of that ITC of the capital goods when the application itself does not say about the ITC, doesn't add the ITC in the refund application?
See, as far as refund of ITC on capital goods is concerned, what I understood your question is, if I am understanding it very correctly, you are telling that how we can get the ITC on capital goods if it is not reflecting.
Right. The procedure is that the GSTR1 is supposed to be the application for refund, and the ITC on capital good does not reflect in the GSTR1.
See, ultimately, if it is not reflecting in GSTR1, if the transactions are mismatched, then ultimately you are not entitled to get input tax credit. If you are not entitled to get input credit, you are not entitled to get the refund also.
My question is that there is no question of mismatch. You see, the refund, the procedure of refund with payment of tax is that when we file the GSTR1, so automatically that acts as a refund application. Now the quantity of ITC on capital goods is not reflected anywhere. So how would we be getting the refund on that?
See, you are not showing GST, the capital goods in GSTR1?
No, because that is a purchase. And the application and the refund
supplier, for you it is a capital goods purchase. For a person who is selling the goods, he is into the business of selling the capital goods.
Right.
So, for example, I am a manufacturer of a machinery. For me, it is not a capital goods. For me, it is a routine business. For it is a routine sales. It is my sales.
Right.
So I am showing this in my GSTR1. When I upload my sales, I am showing that I have sold this particular goods to Mr. X. Now for Mr. X, it is a capital goods.
Right.
But ultimately, once I am showing this in GSTR 1, it will automatically come in your GSTR 2A.
That's fine. But I am an exporter of goods, and I am exporting goods on the strength of without LUT, right? So I am entitled to refund on the tax paid on that export.
You are
And
you are exporting the goods against LUT or with payment of IGST.
with payment of IGST, right?
Okay, with
So,
payment of
so
IGST. Yes.
yeah. So you said that refund of ITC on capital goods can be given when we export the goods with payment of IGST,
Yes.
right? So how would that amount of ITC on capital goods be reflected in the application for refund? Because GSTR 1 itself is an application for refund, and that ITC is not reflected anywhere, because the refund is only of the tax paid on that export.
Ultimately, when you are showing this particular, see, you are entitled to get input tax credit. See, normal, forget about the capital goods. If suppose you are claiming the refund or you are getting the refund on the export made with payment of IGST, what procedure you are following to get the refund? I understand your question. But this is the why I am asking you. Suppose assuming that you have not purchased the capital goods, there is only simple purchase. You are in the export of the business. You are exporting the goods with payment of IGST. Then ultimately, how this particular amount is reflecting or how you are getting the refund?
So I am just getting the ITC on the purchases.
On the purchases, see,
Yeah.
ultimately on the purchases, whether it is a input services, or it is a capital goods, the same is definitely reflecting in your return. The same way, in a way in which you are getting input and input services, the same way you will get the input on capital goods.
Yeah. So
And
then there is no difference between an export with the payment of tax and without payment of tax, because without payment of tax also I'm getting ITC on capital goods.
see, ultimately,
With no
without payment of tax, you are not entitled to get refund immediately. You will have to make an application for refund.
That's right. So you mean to
And
say
in the second case, you are not required to make any application.
right. So you mean to say that the very fact that I'm getting an ITC on the capital goods itself is substitution of the refund amount.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Shyam Unadkar,
Hello.
please continue.
My question is related with that my client from Gujarat is selling the goods to Maharashtra, and the
Okay.
Maharashtra dealer is exporting the same.
Okay.
And same, can the ITC be available as refund for my Gujarat dealer?
Okay.
But
Sir, one dealer has transferred goods to another dealer by way of local transfer, and then original ultimate buyer is going to transfer these goods as an export transaction.
Yes,
Now,
with
question
payment
is
of
for
IGST.
my question for original seller, that is from Gujarat to Maharashtra, whether my Gujarat to Maharashtra, Gujarat dealer is entitled for claim of credit or not.
आपने महाराष्ट्र के डीलर को जो माल बेचा है वो IGST लगा के बेचा है ना फुल रेट में.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो महाराष्ट्र वाला जो डीलर है वो रिफंड लेगा.
तो हमें जो ITC का जो रिफंड नहीं मिलेगा ना तब?
नहीं, आपने तो महाराष्ट्र वाले डीलर को बेचा है ना. योर एरिया ऑफ द ट्रांजैक्शंस एंड्स देयर.
Okay, sir. ठीक है, sir. Thank you.
Bapat sir is available now.
सर, बापट सर का माइक्रोफोन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है. आप अपने सिस्टम से अनम्यूट कीजिएगा आपको, क्योंकि यस प्लीज कंटिन्यू. यस.
हाँ वारिस जी.
जी सर.
हाँ, जो अर्लियर क्वेरी थी, इफ आई मिस्टेक नॉट,
जी सर.
उनका ये क्वेरी था कि उन्होंने एक्सपोर्ट जो किया था दैट वाज विद पेमेंट ऑफ IGST, एंड फॉर दैट पर्पस ही इज सपोज टू मेक अ सेपरेट एप्लीकेशन फॉर claiming the refund of IGST paid. The query is here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was his query. To claim the refund of tax paid on export, for that there is a separate provision. That's why there should be a separate application for that. That was his query, if I mistake not.
सर, उनका मैं जो सवाल समझा था वो ये था कि उनका ये कहना था कि मैं जो कैपिटल गुड्स परचेस करूंगा मैं, उसका मुझे आईटीसी या उसका मुझे जो रिफंड है वो कैसे मिलेगा?
हाँ.
उनका जो सवाल था वो ऐसा था कि वो अगर ये एलयूटी के सामने एक्सपोर्ट करते विदाउट पेमेंट ऑफ टैक्स,
Okay.
so as per the procedure, ultimately when you are exporting the goods without payment of tax against LUT or bond, तो आपको RFD 01 में एप्लीकेशन करने का रहता है.
Right.
और वहाँ अभी वो ऑनलाइन प्रोसेस हो गई है, and you will have to submit all the documents.
Right.
And if you are exporting the goods with payment of IGST, and if you are claiming the refund of that particular IGST which you have paid at the time of export, so for that purpose you are not required to make any application in RFD 01. It automatically comes with this custom and the IGST.
Okay, that is why he was saying it is reflected in the GSTR 1, and that's why I should get the refund, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now going to Mr. Kansal's query earlier.
Yes,
His
sir.
query was that whether the input shall be a part of output. That was his query, right?
Yes, sir.
Now to that, the answer is that as per section 259 and 260, it is not necessary that the input should be a part of output. I will read those two definitions. As per section 259, input means any goods other than capital goods and used or intended to be used by a supplier in the course or furtherance of business.
Yes, sir.
And that is why input not required to be the part of output as far as goods are concerned. And same is the thing about input services. Section 260 states input service means any service used or intended to be used for the purpose of business, etc. And
Sir.
that is why there are queries you also must be getting that whether input is required to be part of output. Answer is according to me no, and so it will satisfy the query raised by Rupender Kansal. Kansalji, you are you are getting me?
Yes.
Variji, are you in agreement with me for this?
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सर. बापट जी, मैं सुन रहा हूँ.
हाँ, बस that is only I wanted to add. That's all.
Sir, I want to add.
हाँ.
Please continue, sir.
Sir, I want to add.
Yes, you can. I can hear you.
The previous query raised by Mr. our brother that he is selling goods from Gujarat to Maharashtra, and that Maharashtra person is exporting the goods. He can claim, even Gujarat person can claim the refund. He can levy the concessional rate of GST at 0.1%. If Maharashtra person gives certificate to the Gujarat person that I have to export the good and you levy me a concessional rate of tax, then Gujarat person can claim the refund under inverted duty structure.
No, I fully agree with you. But the querist has raised that he has charged full rate of GST.
Yes. No, I am advising for the future.
Yeah. Definitely. That definitely you are right, absolutely. But his question was that he has already charged full rate of IGST.
Yes, but it can be suggested that in future he can levy the concessional rate.
Yes, definitely. He can levy the concessional rate.
And Mr. Bapa sir, should we go in for the same criteria and should not carry forward the ITC to the next period?
Means you want to claim it now, no? Because you are otherwise entitled for making refund application, correct?
Okay.
So wherever some of the part he is disallowing by not granting that refund, that we have to take it as order of disallowance, and then you go in for appeal to that extent, whatever has been disallowed. Right, Variji?
Yes, perfect. और कंसल जी का एक सवाल ये था सर, जो आपने बोला था कि ये आउटपुट बढ़ाने की बात है, वो एग्जैक्ट कौन से सेक्शंस में सर आपने कंसल सर रेफर किया था?
Section 16, subsection 2, clause D का second proviso.
16 to D you said, no, Kansal ji?
हाँ जी, section 2D, proviso 2.
That says that provided further that where a recipient fails to pay to the supplier of goods, or that is payment within 180 days, etc. Right?
Yes.
Now this is a question where first of all if that is not only the amount part of the refund claim, then the first answer would be let the authority disallow that extent. And by treating that one as an order, you have to go in appeal for that. As far as the present proviso is concerned, that proviso is very clear till it is challenged. That if the payment is not made, already 180 days are over, then as per the proviso, basically you are not entitled for that claim. That's why I said let him disallow that and you go in appeal.
Mr. Bapat sir,
बापट सर इनका सवाल ये है कि because once I am not making the payment within 180 days, then it will be a reversal of the ITC ultimately. Now the proviso says that you will have to make an amount, it should be added in your output tax liability, but ultimately it is the reversal of the input tax credit only. And the same amount you will have to make addition in the output liability. For example, in that particular month, my output liability is 100 rupees and I have not made the payment to my supplier where my ITC is reversed by 20 rupees. So my output liability is 100 rupees plus my reversal of ITC is 20. So total 120 will be my output liability.
Yes.
That is what the proviso says.
But in that case, here the question is, two things cannot happen at the same time, right? Means the reduction of ITC to that extent, at the same time to pay that amount as output tax liability, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Sir,
moreover,
as of now, sir, I want to interrupt. Legal discussion so far ये कंसल जी का पॉइंट है, वारिस जी का पॉइंट है और आपका पॉइंट है बापट सर. All are हम तो lawyers हैं सर. हम ये नहीं सोचेंगे एक एक पॉइंट का अलग अलग, तो और कोई कौन सोचेगा? I think we want to reply some other questions also.
Yes.
it's all right. Yes, please
तो
proceed.
बाकी ये डिस्कशन तो हमारा लोगों का चलता रहेगा. Even after Supreme Court judgment we are debating कि क्या हुआ है, ये जजमेंट में क्या मिस्टेक है. So it is going on. So I think we should move further.
Yes.
Nigam ji, am I right?
Yes, sir. Mr. K.K. Singla, are you there?
Sir, yes.
Please continue, sir.
Sir, my good evening, Mr. Varis.
Good evening, sir.
My question is regarding export of goods on payment of IGST.
Yes.
Please clarify whether IGST is to be charged while raising the invoice for export of goods.
While export of the goods, IGST.
Whether IGST is to be charged in the invoice.
Yeah, definitely. See, if you are charging IGST, then
Yes.
you are exporting the goods, you are entitled to get the refund. If you are exporting the goods without charging IGST against LUT or bond, then you are entitled to get input tax credit refund.
Yes.
So in both the cases, ultimately, when you are charging IGST, then you will have a different process of the refund.
Okay. But
so to get the refund fast
yes.
and without any hurdle or
Yes.
without any hindrance from any authority, now the people, those who are in the business of export, we are not suggesting or canvassing any view, but now the people, they are charging the IGST and getting the refund more faster than the manual process.
Yes, sir, that's very true. But my query is some different. Whether I have to charge IGST in the invoice and the price to be charged from the customer is including IGST.
Yes. You will have to charge.
Will it not amount to unjust enrichment? Because I'm also getting the refund, and I have also charged from the customer.
You are charging it, and that's why you are getting the refund. Na? Once you ultimately, without charging the IGST, how can you get the refund?
Here you are also paying tax on this, na? If you are charging, you are paying this.
Yes.
That's right.
And sir, my second query is regarding the rice miller business.
Sorry?
Regarding the business of rice milling.
Rice.
rice milling, rice mill business, regarding milling of paddy for government agencies. Yesterday there was a brief reference about that.
गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी राइस क्या करते हैं आप?
पैडी गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी से हमें पैडी मिलती है,
ठीक है,
उस पैडी को हम मिलिंग करके गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी को राइस डिलीवर करते हैं और बाय प्रोडक्ट्स हमारे पास रह जाते हैं।
ठीक है,
तो उसमें जो हम पार्ट्स यूज करते हैं, सपोज मशीनरी पार्ट्स, रबर रोल्स, एनीथिंग जो हम यूज करते हैं, तो क्या हमें उनका फुल आईटीसी क्लेम करना चाहिए या नहीं?
नहीं, अगर वो पूरा जो आपका अल्टीमेट सेल्स है वो टैक्सेबल नहीं है तो आपको प्रोपोर्शनलिटी यूज करना चाहिए।
बाय प्रोडक्ट्स की बात आ गई ना सर, बाय प्रोडक्ट्स तो मेरे सारे टैक्सेबल नहीं है, पार्टली टैक्सेबल है, पार्टली टैक्स फ्री है।
सी इसमें भी दो डिसीजंस भी है बाय प्रोडक्ट के लिए भी, जो अभी जीएसटी रिजाइम में नहीं है, वो वैट रिजाइम में थे, यहाँ गुजरात के है। उसका साइटेशन में दे दूंगा, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली द थिंग इज दैट के यहाँ पर अगर बहुत कंस्ट्रूड इंटरप्रिटेशन करे अपन तो आपको प्रोपोर्शनलिटी लेना चाहिए।
ओके, थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dhawal Patwa, are you there, Mr. Dhawal?
Yes, I am here.
Please continue.
Good evening, Varish bhai. Hello.
Yes, continue.
Good evening, Varish.
यस सर, गुड इवनिंग।
वारिस भाई, एक एप्लीकेशन किया हुआ है रिफंड के लिए, जो कि एक्यूमुलेटेड आईटीसी ड्यू टू इन्वर्टेड टैक्स स्ट्रक्चर के लिए है।
जी सर।
और विद इन 15 डेज एक्नॉलेज तो नहीं हुआ है, 15 डेज के बाद एक्नॉलेज हुआ है, पहली बात
जी।
और एक्नॉलेज होने के बाद डिपार्टमेंट ने RFD 08 में सोकोज नोटिस इश्यू किया है और उसमें रीजन में अदर दिखाया गया है। सोकोज नोटिस इश्यू करने का रीजन में अदर दिखाया गया है
जी।
तो इस नोटिस का कैसे रिस्पॉन्ड करें, प्लीज गाइड।
तो मेरे हिसाब से मैं जो समझा हूँ, अभी जो ऑनलाइन रिफंड का एप्लीकेशन अगर आपने किया है,
हाँ,
और उसमें अगर आपका कोई डेफिशिएंसी मेमो आया है, या तो ये डेफिशिएंसी मेमो है या शोकोज नोटिस है, या तो दोनों सेम ही किया जाता है।
शोकोज नोटिस है सर, शोकोज नोटिस है RFD 08 में।
what I am giving the feedback, एक बार अगर अपन रिफंड का एप्लीकेशन करते हैं, once there is a deficiency memo or any discrepancy memo, then it is considered to be a rejection memo only.
वो डेफिशिएंसी मेमो नहीं है। हेलो, डेफिशिएंसी मेमो नहीं है,
आपका वो जो
रिफंड एप्लीकेशन ऑलरेडी एक्टिव है।
रिफंड का जो ARN है वो अभी रजिस्टर्ड लाइव है आपका पोर्टल पे।
हाँ, और एक्नॉलेज भी हुआ है, ARN तो जनरेट हो गया है, एक्नॉलेज भी हो गया है डिपार्टमेंट से। तो डेफिशिएंसी मेमो नहीं है, लेकिन नोटिस शोकोज नोटिस इश्यू हुआ है।
अगर शोकोज नोटिस हुआ है और उसमें जो अगर आपका कुछ डिस्क्रिपेंसी है और वो आप अगर रिप्लाई कर देते हो तो आपको रिप्लाई तो करना ही है।
लेकिन अदर रीजन में अदर दिखाया गया है,
अपन अदर्स में
लेकिन रीजन में अदर दिखाया गया है, भाई कुछ नहीं है, कुछ स्पेसिफाई नहीं किया है।
हाँ, तो मेरे हिसाब से वो आपका एप्लीकेशन जो है वो रिजेक्ट हो जाएगा प्रैक्टिकली, एंड यू विल हैव टू मेक अ फ्रेश एप्लीकेशन। या तो आप उसको ऑनलाइन उसी ईमेल में या तो मैन्युअली आप रिप्लाई दीजिए कि भैया ये मुझे शोकोज नोटिस मिला हुआ है और उसमें अदर्स रीजन लिखा हुआ है, जो अदर्स रीजन में कुछ स्पेसिफाई नहीं किया है, सो आई एम नॉट इन अ पोजीशन, आई एम नॉट एबल टू गिव द रिप्लाई in response to the Shoko's notice whereby no particular discrepancy is mentioned. So in the absence of any details which I am required to be submitted, I am not in a position to submit any details. So I please specify exactly what is the discrepancy found in my particular application. Then only I'll be able to give reply. लेकिन मेरे को जो कहा गया है practically और जो मेरा limited knowledge है ये practical portal का, उसमें मेरे हिसाब से once this type of any discrepancy, शोकोज या डेफिशिएंसी कुछ भी निकलता है, उसके बाद में अगर आप उसमें फिर वापस लॉगिन या रिप्लाई नहीं हो सकता, ये वन वे ट्रैफिक है।
हाँ, तो मतलब शोकोज का जवाब तो देना पड़ेगा ना वारिस भाई।
आप दे दो, अगर जवाब ऑनलाइन जाता है या तो मैन्युअल लेते हैं, और उसके बाद में आपकी एप्लीकेशन रिवाइव होती है कि नहीं होती है या लाइव चालू रहती है कि नहीं रहती है, आप देख लीजिए। बिकॉज आई एम टोल्ड कि एक बार कोई भी डेफिशिएंसी मेमो या रिजेक्शन या अपना ये डिस्क्रिपेंसी निकला है या ऐसा कोई शोकोज आया है, then after you are not in a position to continue with that particular refund application, you will have to file a fresh application. That is what limited feedback I am having. अगर इसमें और कोई participants है वो कुछ कहना चाहे तो निगम भाई, अक्षत भाई, if you are in a position
to here in this particular case, as I understood, after receipt of so-called notice, he need to reply on this.
हाँ, otherwise I have to file appeal against this. If
नहीं, on so-called notice doesn't require to file appeal.
नहीं,
अभी सोकोस का है तो उसके बाद अगर इसके बाद जो भी होता है,
हाँ,
अगर वो रिजेक्शन करता है तो वी कैन फाइल अपील अगेंस्ट दिस इफ यू वांट टू.
लेकिन रिप्लाई तो देना पड़ेगा ना सर.
बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल.
तो कौन सी बेसिस पे रिप्लाई करें?
बेसिस मानी so you have mentioned no reason is mentioned in your so-called notice.
No सर, यहाँ सूरत में ऐसा हुआ है सर कि कई केसेस में ऐसे नोटिस इश्यू हुआ है पर्टिकुलर CGST डिपार्टमेंट से
जी.
तो कई नोटिस ऐसे इश्यू हुए हैं जिसमें अदर ही है, रीजन कोई मेंशन नहीं किया.
That's why you have issued so-called notice to invite your so-called notice number so and so. No reason is required and no any issue is declared in your so-called notice. That's why it is none and void. You are requested to reopen my application. Otherwise, raise the another notice. We have to communicate with the authority.
मतलब ये पहले कम्युनिकेट कर देना.
बिल्कुल सर.
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay sir.
Thank you sir. Next is Mr. Chirag Mirani. Mr. Chirag Mirani, are you there?
Hello. Yes sir.
Please continue.
Hello sir. क्रेडिट नोट रिगार्डिंग क्वेश्चन था, वॉल्यूम क्रेडिट नोट के रिगार्डिंग.
जी.
ईयर में मैंने क्रेडिट नोट इशू की, तो सर वो विथ टैक्स होगी या विदाउट टैक्स होगी? एक कर्नाटक गवर्नमेंट का कि हार्ली डिवीजन का एक ऑथराइज्ड डीलर है, उसने AIR लिया था कर्नाटक यूनियन गवर्नमेंट से कि उसमें विदाउट टैक्स आएगा अगर वॉल्यूम क्रेडिट नोट है. तो सर उसके ऊपर थोड़ा लाइट डालेंगे किस तरह का सर?
सर दिस
उनका आवाज थोड़ा
हाँ, उनका इशू ऐसा है कि क्रेडिट नोट, उनका इशू ऐसा है कि whether credit note is required to be issued with tax or without tax, referring to latest judgment of Karnataka.
With tax ही करना चाहिए.
Second,
with tax ही करना चाहिए.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I think it's time to say goodbye. मेरा
कंसल साहब का जो इशू चला था लंबा 180 डेज वाला
जी,
उसमें कंसल सर अगर आप इसमें कंटिन्यू तो आप रूल 37 भी देख लीजिए. रूल 37 टॉक्स अबाउट द रिवर्सल ऑफ इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ही है, तो वो रिवर्सल ऑफ इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट ही गिना जाएगा. अल्टीमेटली इफेक्ट सेम रहेगा टैक्स का, लेकिन इट इज वी हैव टू सी द रूल 37 आल्सो. थैंक यू सर.
वारिस भाई ये 180 डेज का. हाँ निगम जी.
सर हमारे एक सीनियर एडवोकेट है फ्रॉम गुजरात, मिस्टर भरत ठक्कर. भरत भाई.
Can I?
Please sir, continue sir.
Can I start?
Yes please.
Varis bhai, just a question in regard to the question of Mehsana person. He has make a question that some officers are going to be taking issue. Is a whatever material.
I think there is some technical issue. सर वैसे तो काफी कुछ मेंबर्स अनअटेंडेड अभी है, और बट लुकिंग टू द टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट नाउ आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग मिस्टर अक्षत भाई टू क्लोज दिस मीटिंग प्लीज सर.
थैंक यू सर.
थैंक यू वारिस भाई. एंड मुझे दो कंसर्न थे. हमारा फिगर जो आज मीटिंग का चालू हुआ था तब 194 से इट रीच अप टू 298 and now it is only 98. So when the speaker is available, I request everybody to respect the speaker, respect the time of everybody. अगर आपको कुछ काम है, क्योंकि लॉकडाउन में बहुत लोगों को बहुत काम है, झाड़ू बर्तन पोछा ज्यादा और बहुत सारे काम है, वो मैं जानता हूँ, मगर फिर भी वो काम अगर आप डिले कर सकते हैं तो प्लीज कीजिए, क्योंकि आपको ये 1 घंटे का लेक्चर देने के लिए शायद स्पीकर ने 3-4 घंटे ट्रेनिंग की होगी, और वो 3-4 घंटे स्पीकर जो ट्रेनिंग अपना जो पढ़ाई करते हैं वो टाइम उसके घर पे भी झाड़ू पोछा बर्तन का काम बाकी रहा होगा, तो he is also suffering a lot. So we should respect everybody's time and efforts, as well as अगर आपका bandwidth लो है तो आप अपना वीडियो बंद कर दीजिए, कोई इश्यू नहीं है, क्योंकि it is consuming the world bandwidth and कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, नो इश्यू एट ऑल. एंड मी एंड निगम भाई आज सुबह ही बात कर रहे थे कि अभी भी हमें बहुत सारे टॉपिक्स कवर करना बाकी है. एंड शर्मा जी कैसे हैं आज? आप पहली बार आपको बहुत टाइम के बाद देखा है.
कल नहीं थे
शर्मा जी,
कल नहीं थे सर. आप 1 मिनट में शर्मा साहब को अनम्यूट कर लो प्लीज.
शर्मा जी को बहुत देर.
शर्मा सर,
शर्मा साहब लास्ट में आपको तब देखा था तब जब आपके सर पे काले बाल थे.
नहीं, कंटिन्यू रहेंगे आप, बिल्कुल कंटिन्यू रहेंगे आप.
अच्छा, नहीं अभी वी आर सर्चिंग. हमने 3-4 स्टेट के अलग अलग स्पीकर्स के साथ बात कर रखी है.
हाँ.
दे आर ऑल्सो वेरी लर्नेड पीपल एंड ऑफ कोर्स वी ऑल आर लर्नेड, मगर जो बात करने का जिसके पास तजुर्बा है वो बहुत कम है. जैसे वारिस जी इज वन ऑफ द फैंटास्टिक स्पीकर ऑफ इंडिया. बापट साहब इज अ फैंटास्टिक स्पीकर. ऐसे बहुत सारे स्पीकर्स के साथ हम वी आर इन कम्यून. एंड शायद कल तो शायद छुट्टी है ना सबके लिए, निगम जी?
हाँ सर, एक्चुअली फ्रॉम मंडे ऑनवर्ड्स एंड उसका पूरा शेड्यूल बन के कल दोपहर तक हम कॉमन प्लेटफॉर्म व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप पे आप ही शेयर करेंगे सर. अभी शेड्यूल बन रहा है.
सर तो सोमवार से हम वापस.
और सर आप कहाँ पे बैठे हैं सर?
इट्स अ लॉकडाउन सर.
अच्छा.
सो घर पे बैठा हूँ, मगर घर से निकाल दिया है वो अलग चीज है.
So I'm please sir, please.
तो मैं सबसे विनती करता हूँ कि अपने लोकल ग्रुप्स में भी शेयर कीजिए, क्योंकि वी हैव ऑलरेडी हम 5000 लोगों की मीटिंग कर सके ऐसी हमने फैसिलिटी जूम के पास से परचेज की हुई है. तो वी आर वर्किंग ऑन दैट. तो हम अभी 300 तक हुए हैं, हम 5000 तक भी हमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. आई थिंक वी आर द ओनली वन की जो 5000 तक हैंडल कर सकेंगे. एंड ऑल वीडियो ऑल रिकॉर्डिंग भी होगा.
ठीक है.
तो आई थिंक वी शुड कंटिन्यू विद दिस. सोमवार को इनकम टैक्स का शायद टॉपिक रहेगा हमारा, रिलेटेड टू इनकम टैक्स. मंगलवार को भी समथिंग रिलेटेड टू इनकम टैक्स रहेगा. वैसे वी आर मेकिंग अ शेड्यूल. वो शेड्यूल बना के आपके पास आएंगे.
ठीक है.
एंड प्लीज ज्वाइन. एंड वारिस भाई, लास्टली बट नॉट लीस्ट, आई एम थैंकिंग यू वेरी मच फॉर योर एफर्ट्स एंड others for the patience hearing. Thank you very much. Nigam ji, you can end the meeting now.
Thank you sir.
Thank you sir. Thank you sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So
Good night. Take care and stay safe.
Good night sir.